With this, let's move on to the next session where we will have insights from Microsoft on hybrid learning.
Today we are going to start the panel discussion session. The topic of the discussion is present education system to transform towards hybrid learning. So let me introduce about the topic. Post-pandemic, many are looking toward to the long-awaited return to the physical classroom. However, the pandemic has disrupted the education landscape in India. However, thereby accelerating the adoption of e-learning or blended learning. It is absolutely true that technology is essential and innovation is a cornerstone. The education system has seen a dynamic shift in terms of how it operates due to unfortunate circumstances of the pandemic. More than 35 crore students and 1.08 crore teachers across 15 lakh schools, 1028 universities, 41,901 colleges, and 10,726 standalone institutes of our country were unable to attend class during the lockdown. Universities are now evaluating how they can leverage technology to create classrooms of the future, and education institutes are under tremendous pressure to establish excellent standards for hybrid learning, with educators teaching students in both the classroom and at home. The adoption of technologies has made it possible for educators to customize content to meet the needs of the students and also create engaging the immersive learning experiences for them. By harnessing the power of advanced technological solutions and the potential of blending learning, let's understand from the experts on how Windows 11 SE brings the unique differentiation, how it is going to empower all students regardless of the abilities or learning preferences to access materials on their own, boosting their confidence and a sense of agency, while teachers can personalize learning for all students and make the best use of their classroom time. With this, I would like to introduce the panelist, Mr. Sanjay Achwal, Executive Director and Head of Sales, Ingram Micro, Ms. Farhana Haq, Group Director, DPSS, Microsoft India. We have Mr. Sanjay Radhakrishnan, Chief Strategy and Business Excellence, Tata ClassHeads. Mr. Lokesh Bajaj, Vice President, Education Services, Schoolnet India. So, to discuss, start with shifting to true hybrid and the opportunity. My question to Sanjay and Lokesh. Okay.
Okay.
Uh,
Sure. So Lokesh, yes, please go ahead.
my question to Sanjay is how the industry experts see it as and their views of how it will navigate further.
Okay. So thank you for the introduction. I would actually like to place quickly 4 or 5 points. I think the hybrid learning is a new metamorphosis in the whole teaching learning process. So this is a new arena for the school. Which are the areas it will impact the school? Number one is the administration. The whole fact that how do you call in social distancing? How do you keep the odd and even? That's one area. The second, and then the role of technology, because technology will play a very important role in bringing that integration in terms of when some students will be online, when some students will be at home. So that's a very important one. Second important one is teacher skills, because now the teacher will have to balance her skills in terms of how she's going to do the pedagogy, yet keep the attention of the students at home, and yet keep the engagement within the classroom. The third aspect is the psychological aspects. Students have gone through a lot. Everybody knows that. Teachers have gone through much more. We don't talk enough of it. So that's an area where we'll have to really focus. And the couple of other points is definitely the device. I always stated it that today there is such a huge opportunity. But even if I have to buy a laptop, they'll say you buy any color as long as it's black. So I'm not really sure how devices are really trying to adopt themselves, even though we do talk a lot. But I think there is still a long way to go. And the last one is the NEP. I think there's a lot of realignment, structure changes happening, keeping in mind that the NEP, the way forward which has been suggested by NEP is getting met. So a lot of things happening in the hybrid. I think it's really a challenging time, and at the same time, a good time to really be closer to schools. Sorry, it's been a slightly longish one, but I just thought that we should share these points.
Lokesh, so how you will say to this?
Sorry?
Lokesh.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the introduction, and thanks, Sanjay. So in my view, this hybrid learning is the new normal now, right? And students going to school, learning from home will continue. And as an industry, if I say, we take this as an opportunity in crisis, right? We do understand that a lot of things to be done, and the length and breadth of, if I say, take country, our country as. So I will say that the public school segment students are the one who are worst affected by the pandemic, right? We are talking of all these, but if you read those articles on the learning loss due to COVID, right? So in order to not to have these situations again, this hybrid is going to remain there. Sanjay did mention on the NEP, the integration of NEP of technology in the education and skilling in the education. That is going to play a larger and vital role going forward. And in terms of devices, yes, we see huge, I will say that requirement from the user side, from the end user, because India, unfortunately, the digital divide, during this pandemic, I will also say that, the digital divide has actually, it has widened, right? We see now a huge amount of digital divide as we used to see 2 years before this pandemic set out. So I will say that this is an opportunity in crisis, and all will have to work together in a collaborative manner to actually improve the learning losses, or to provide the benefits to the students, because K-12 students, I see kindergarten students, they are studying at home from the in the online manner. A physical space for them is very critical for their growth. It's not only the education, it's the age when a child actually grows. That's the growing age, and the socioeconomic things are also taken a backseat. So these are my views as an industry on this.
Farhana, if you can add, what is Microsoft views to this?
So if I hear what Sanjay and Lokesh, my colleagues, have been saying before, and the volume or the quantum of numbers of students, teachers, educators in the country in schools, technology is the core which holds it together, right? When you go into the hybrid learning mode, you now need technology which is flexible and scalable. Flexible so that you can actually do whiteboarding like you would have done in school and have the same ability of explaining the same maths equation on a Zoom or a Teams or on a call, and the same equation of enabling teachers to be able to judge or test students who are sitting now at different disparate locations, right? So technology has to be flexible and also scalable. Lokesh made a very valid point saying that, with this whole pandemic, we have realized the digital divide has become larger, because not everywhere you have equal amount of access or equal amount of interventions in every possible school, right? So what technological companies like Microsoft are doing is enabling our solutions which enable this hybrid world. For example, if you take with Windows 11 SE, we have this whole prospect of inking, right? So you can actually whiteboard along with your students. When you're explaining something, you can take the pen, write it on it, and you can actually, the students will get it better. Like, I can't imagine learning any theorem where nobody explained on pen and paper, right? That was our way of studying, right? Somebody took a pen, paper, or a board and explained it. Imagine if I have to explain the entire theory verbally to you or type it. You won't just, students don't understand that way. So technology helps. Microsoft is working very hard and working very closely with technology, different edutech companies, with educators, with students, with parents, to understand their needs and our solution, and ensure that the software or the solutions that we give now for education cover those points, enable not only educators, students, but administrators also, to make it easy to grow at scale. So that's what we are doing at Microsoft.
Wonderful. So, Mr. Sanjay Achwal, if you want to share how Ingram is planning to harness this opportunity.
Yes. So thanks for this question. It's a good question. And I would like to say that, we all have experienced the change, that pandemic has brought in our personal as well as professional lives in the last 18 months. And most of the opportunities that Ingram has seen, being in the IT's largest distributor in the country, were centered around work from home and learn from home opportunities. The adoption of technology has been one of the fastest in the last 18 months. And the hybrid learning model which got evolved is going to stay now for the future. Our partner ecosystem got quickly aligned with these opportunities which came their way. And Ingram being a one-stop shop for all IT hardware and software, we ensured that the offering of right solutions, training and enablement of our partners, which is a key for the transformation, in the education segment, especially from a traditional mode of imparting school and college trainings to a changed distance digital learning. So that was a key change. Also, we have seen a rapid digital transformation in the last 18 months. And now with the latest version, you heard from Farhana, with the new Windows 11 for education, we really aim to offer more focused solutions, which are easy to communicate, they are easy to collaborate, and they will address every challenge which is faced by different stakeholders, especially in the education segment, whether it is people who are imparting training, educators, people who are taking training, students, parents, training institutes, and so on. These are customizable for the end customers to transform classroom experience to digital learning. And we will be playing a key role in actually training the partner set of Ingram Micro partners. And we will together ensure deeper penetration of Windows 11 on the devices. We again are the largest distributor in the country for devices, endpoints, where the technology gets consumed through, and the most inclusively designed and a greater accessibility of Windows 11 with more built-in learning tools is really going to help students to easily access materials and would help teachers to personalize learning for all. And these are some of the things that our partner ecosystem will take to the actual users in the education vertical.
Wonderful. Do you believe India education is unique? If so, how some instances may be?
So, Dr. Sao, this is a slightly tricky one. I will avoid playing to the galleries because everybody would love to hear how we are unique. I think we have some core strengths because that comes from our long belief that how teaching and mentoring to be done. I think we have excellent case in the past. So when we say unique, I also think culturally we place teaching at a very high level. But however, the translation on the ground is lot to be desired. If there's one thing which I feel we want to change in the system, I think the fact that all of us, whether it is media, which is you, whether it is us, I think we have to recognize the role of the true hero, that is the teacher. And if we can create a strong ecosystem which encourages teaching, makes teaching an aspirational profession, I think we would have solved a great social problem too. So that's the fastest reply I can think for a question.
Okay, like that. Wonderful. Now we'll hear from Mr. Lokesh Bajaj.
I am. So you want me to address the second leg of the question?
It is, do you believe India education is unique? If so, how some instances may be?
So in terms of uniqueness of Indian education system, yes, we do believe that. And yes, we come from the countries of Swami Vivekananda, right? And teachers are here given the huge amount of respect, right? And the entire community teaching learning ecosystem is given importance. So these are the scale at which we operate. I will say that the number of schools what we have, the population whom we address through the K-12 education system, that itself brings us in a very unique position, right? And the kind of learners we have, the young minds we have, that gives us another uniqueness when we say of our education system. And so this is how we are. I will say that we are very unique in the education system.
Good. Farana, if you can say, how is a multinational like Microsoft enabling the partners locally?
So our basic motto, and our CEO has himself said that our basic motto is to empower every person in organization to do more, be more, right? And there's no stronger cause than education. And in a country like India, and you can't do education, or you can't reach the market, or you can't successfully empower every being without the support of our partners, right? And we have partners like Ingram, we have partners like Tata ClassEdge and SchoolNet. So the different kinds of partners, and we work very closely with Ingram and us. We work hand in hand in ensuring that the larger partner ecosystem also have the right knowledge, because again, it's about education of not only the students, the teachers, and the ecosystem, but also the partner ecosystem that we're building, right? A lot of times you don't know, and you kind of or you have perceptions. So we have done various initiatives. For example, with Ingram, we have an entire partner portal. Partners can log in, they can actually go, they can download something called EduBooks, which will give them the entire host of what is the solution, how do you pitch the solution, how does it help, what can they get. There are coffee chats with partners, we have readiness chats. We used to have it in person earlier along with Ingram, now we have it online, but there are constant conversations with partners. The more we encourage our partners to ask us questions, the more we equip them with the tools, so they learn more. And when they learn more, they go and reach out to 5 other people, and who they can teach more about how we can together as an ecosystem of technology partners, channel partners, resellers, technology companies come together to make a difference in the country.
Wonderful. So I have a question for Sanjay Achwal. Does Ingram have a plan to enable this ecosystem?
Yeah, again, I think a good question, because we all heard from the different panelists as to what is required, right? And if that is what is required, we feel that we are in the best position and in the forefront of taking this to the market. In the sense that, solving the challenges faced by our partners and customers each day. And we being a largest distributor partner, it calls for a responsibility on us in getting desired penetration of this product and services. As you know, that education segment requirements are not limited to large cities or metro cities. In fact, it has to be taken to every nook and corner of the country. And I think we feel that we have a big responsibility on us to take these products and solutions to the length and breadth of the country. We have enabled our partners across the country to conduct business with us on IM Ecom platform. So we have reduced the distance between us and the partners who are located everywhere across the country. It has brought in a much greater ease for them to do and conduct business with us as per their convenience. And we also parallelly created what is called as a micro distribution team to support relatively small and medium set of partners with the potential to grow faster with the increased opportunity presented to us, as outlined by most of my other colleagues here. And this really, to realize the future of technology and gain a competitive advantage, you need, again, I'm emphasizing on right training and services. Ingram Micro does offer training, with a range of courses from different industry leaders, which enable partners to enhance their technological skills. And similarly, we support through our marketing team in helping them generate demand through various activities that our team conducts. We work with a very focused set of partners in by vertical, and we create community of industry specific partners in a specific vertical or a segment, which helps them to offer specific solutions, services aimed at addressing the requirements of those specific industry. Here in this case is education, and there is a big amount of focus that we put around due to huge demand that's coming from learn from home in the last 18 months. And that's what Ingram is doing, to reach out to every corner of the country with the set of our well-distributed partners across everywhere.
So wonderful, wonderful, Sanjay. So finally, if you can have a final remark from each one, to start with Mr. Sanjay Achwal.
Yeah, so I would really, we have almost everything, right? We have all the end equipments or the end products that are required to address the requirement of education segment. We have all the software solutions, services team well within Ingram Micro. I would urge all partners to really drive and this demand which is there, and take benefit of all the offerings that Ingram Micro has. And I'm sure we and Microsoft together will create a history in addressing the demand of this particular vertical in the days to come.
Wonderful. Farhana, if you can share your remarks.
Just to add what Sanjay said, we at Microsoft in the last 2 years heard what the market needed. And that's why when Windows 11 was launched, it had so much of flexibility to work with partners to scale. We also have launched Windows 11 SE, which is specially curated for students and for educators. It gives them the flexibility and is a very extremely light version. So there are solutions that we have brought to the table, which keeps into mind the changes in the world in this new normal, right? What we would want to do is work as an ecosystem together to educate the ecosystem and support them to be able to make a difference in the Indian education industry. So that's my view.
Wonderful, wonderful. So how you, Sanjay, Mr. Sanjay Radhakrishnan, want to place?
Yes. So just wanted to conclude that, when I look back, we've really, Tata Classes responded well to the requirements of the schools, because in terms of whether getting assessments, whether getting books, whether getting virtual classroom, I think there's a lot of areas where we have been there along with early child education. Recently, we launched Study, which is a B2C product. I think the single guiding principle and light is, and which keeps governing us, and I think that's the question which may be common to all my colleagues in this panel, is how can we improve the learning teaching experience in a classroom and for students? I think that's a common thing, and we are at a very unique position that technology can really solve a lot of those requirements in terms of scale, reach, and also reduce the digital divide. So it's a very exciting time that we can be of an extreme value to the society and schools at large. And all responsible brands like us, I think it's a great opportunity to collaborate and work together.
Wonderful, wonderful. Lokesh, if you can add your comment.
So thank you so much. So when we take it as a school net, so our philosophy of operation is, inside the classroom and outside the classroom. What Farhana also did mention during her opening remarks, that, what a student can do within the classroom. So what a student can also do outside the classroom. So we as an organization, as SchoolNet, we reacted to this pandemic, and we offered the access of the content platform Genio to almost more than 5 lakh students across the country at no cost. We train teachers on how to conduct classes using the online tools. And I think now going forward, see, there's a huge amount of opportunity. There's a huge amount of gap which can only be bridged if we all work in a very collaborative manner. And we have customized our solution so that they can address the requirement of the pandemic as well. So we have been discussing on democratization of education. I think it is the time when we need to also debate on democratization of technology. So the access should be provided to the last mile, right? We were talking of internet penetration. Initially we spoke about electricity penetration. Then we spoke about internet penetration. I think now it is the device penetration. and with all the colleagues and with the I think everybody is having the same vision and same aim. I think it is a time to work together and connect with the unconnected, connect with the disconnected, with the help of devices, with the help of technology. These are my concluding remarks.
So thank you so very much, the panelists. We have got a wonderful input, and thanks for joining the panel. Thank you.
Thank you.
so
Thank you,
much.
Deepak.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
Deepak.
for having us.
The world of education is rapidly evolving after one of the most transformative years in our industry. And while the past year presented challenges for leaders in every field, the shift to remote and hybrid learning has fundamentally changed the ways in which we think, teach, and learn. With this, I would like to invite Mr. Amitpawar, Director, Specialist, Microsoft Singapore, to speak on imagining a new era of education and introduce Windows 11 SE and request to show the demo.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today in this session with VARINDIA and Microsoft. My name is Amitpawar. I'm here as the Director of Modern Workplace Education for Microsoft Asia, covering the region between New Zealand and India. It is my great pleasure to be with you here to talk a little bit about the approach Microsoft is taking towards hybrid teaching and learning, and then talk a little bit about the solutions that we are excited to bring to market, specifically to help you as our valued resellers, to enable you to go and have a very meaningful conversation with our our customers, together with our OEM partners and device partners. So thank you again for joining me. So my name is Amit, and let's get on with this session. I look forward to all of your questions and answers later on as well. So with that in mind, I'm just going to take a minute to give you a bit of an overview of what Microsoft talks about when it comes to the hybrid teaching and learning conversation. A lot of the times when we go in and talk to our customers, we really are going to talk specifically about the device. But before we talk about the device, they need to understand how the device fits into the overall solution. And I'll take 2 minutes to kind of give you a bit of an update on that. So on this slide, you'll see three pillars. Number one, it's talking to the guidance we provide. So guidance from a way of how do you actually go and do a digital transformation of education. Number two, what you're seeing in the middle is we are giving you a future-proof IT platform that is built on the foundation of trust and security that enables the way that you want to teach and learn, that is inclusive by design, that fosters well-being, that accelerates learning, that helps us develop career readiness. Because all this investment that schools and ministries of education or higher education institutions are making in the technology is there to create some kind of an outcome. And that outcome typically is the career readiness. So everyone wants to make sure that our students are learning effectively, are able to grasp all the concepts, are able to get the grades they need, and hence create skills within themselves to make themselves career ready, whether they go on to a professional employment or become entrepreneurs of themselves. And to enable this, you will see various Microsoft logos on this slide. You'll see Microsoft Azure as the underlying cloud that enables you to create solutions, GitHub to enable the development of applications, Power Platform that enables this whole concept of applications that are low code, no code. You'll see LinkedIn coming in here to manage your professional identity, and Dynamics 365 to enable the orchestration or the operations of the school. And finally, and the one that we are going to talk a little bit more about today, is Microsoft 365, which is what enables the engagement and collaboration. So a lot of times when we are talking about the cloud that is connecting your device, that enables you to create documents, that enables you to communicate with others, it is Microsoft 365 that we are talking about. And the last pillar on this particular slide is the Microsoft Educator Center and Microsoft Learn. That is actually professional development for our educators and teachers to take advantage of all of this technology that we talked about, all of this guidance that we talked about, they need to learn how to use all this technology in the context of teaching and learning. A lot of times we go and talk to them about, hey, how do I use PowerPoint? How do I use Word? And that's okay. That is one product training. But using all those products in the context of teaching and learning has its own specific needs. And that's what we are trying to address through our free on-demand platform of courses and learning paths, and that gives them the ability to get badges and certificates to actually go and showcase how much they have learned about using technology to deliver hybrid teaching and learning. So that's kind of the underlying thought process behind how we are approaching this. And let's have a quick look at how this is then coming together. So we talked a little bit about, in the previous slide, we talked about future-proof IT that is built on trust and security. But really what we want to do here is enable all of these different experiences. So we want immersive learning experiences to enforce collaboration. Now, to do all of this, you need to have the right device. We need to create a social skills, create positive learning environment. Again, safe, secure, well-managed environments that have the security from the silicon to the cloud is important. And now that we start using the device, we will also start to see a feedback. I think about this as, the device that you sell to education institution is a bit like a fitness tracker, where what the fitness tracker measures different things like heartbeat and temperature and sleep patterns, but you can't actually visualize that unless you put it into the cloud and see all the graphs and all of the different information that comes out of the device. Similarly, we are also looking at creating the Windows 11, Windows 11 SE devices as an enabler for us to interact with the cloud and measure the actions that we take on our device and relate those actions and activities to our learning outcomes, which usually is grades and things like that. Now, all of this means that we can accelerate learning, right? And also from the teacher perspective, it gives them insights with actionable intelligence. So how can the teacher better interact with the actual students? Because a lot of times now students are either remote, or even when they are in class, there are just too many students. And for a teacher to be able to give one-on-one personalized attention to a student is not really possible. And that's why we are using artificial intelligence to help teachers gain insights into how individual students are actually doing and what additional help they may need for particular subjects and things like that. We're also providing certification pathways for employability. So developing career readiness is another aspect of this. And all of our curriculum that we provide on Microsoft Learn is industry aligned. And lastly, we talked a little bit about this earlier, which is inclusive by design. So we'll make sure, and I'll show this in the demo later on, is we'll talk about how the concept of being able to accommodate diverse learning styles. Because when we are positioning a device that is a content creation device, and fundamentally Windows 11 and 11 Pro and 11 SE devices are designed to be content creation devices. It's a big difference from having small screen phones or tablets that are primarily content consumption devices. Because when we are trying to teach and learn, we cannot just be having a one-way conversation with the content being consumed, but the content needs to be consumed, analyzed, and then the student needs to show their understanding by creating content on that device. And a lot of the focus that you will see in our conversation around devices is focused around that. And finally, like I said, we need to also meet requirements of people with different abilities. So those who have hearing disabilities or visual disabilities and other learning styles that we need to accommodate are taken care of from the platform by design. So it's not something that is a after the fact add-on, but something that is built right in. So let's have a quick look at this. And we use this concept of hybrid teaching and learning solution, which is cloud ready, but not cloud dependent. Now, what does that mean? A lot of times during the pandemic, a lot of our customers went out to market and looked at devices and solutions, and they tried to glue them together to create something that was cloud ready. but it was, a lot of the cases they have chosen, one solution from one vendor and another solution from another, and they've created a lot of silos, and each of them have different capabilities in terms of their ability to run online and offline. Our focus really has been to make sure that the device can run both when it's connected to the internet, as well as a lot of the scenarios can be catered for by using the device offline as well. And I'll show you that in the next few builds in this slide. So first of all, we do talk about the concept of looking at the right device. The right device in this context will be something that is powered by either Windows 11 Pro or Windows 11 SE. Now, some of you may have heard about Windows 11 SE from our recent announcement. What I want to be very clear with you is there are two, separate operating systems. Windows 11 Pro has been built on top of the Windows 10 Pro capabilities and the foundations that have been built for the last few years. Windows 11 SE is a new edition of Windows that has been specifically designed for cloud-managed solutions for K-8 range of schools. So kindergarten through year 8 is where we typically are seeing use of this platform, and it's been designed with that in mind. So it does run on low-end devices. So up to 8 gigs of RAM and up to 128 gigs of SSD is what Windows 11 SE will go up to. If a customer needs other capabilities beyond what 11 SE provides, we do guide them to move towards the 11 Pro operating system and devices that are built using the Windows 11 Pro operating system as well. And later on, you will see, we will provide you guidance on how that differentiation can happen and where would you choose 11 Pro versus 11 SE. There is deep dive guidance on that. But in today's session, because it's only 20 minutes, I'm not going to go through all the details on this particular topic. And of course, because we're talking about the cloud-ready piece of this, we want to make sure that the operating system is made available to you at the lowest price possible using Shape the Future program. And then the device itself is managed using Intune, which is our MDM solution. So it creates that cloud-ready, cloud-managed experience, yet be able to run offline as well. And how do we do that? We look at the current LMS or SIS that the customer has. We take their user database from that. Then we will create them digital identities in the cloud. So now they can log in onto the device using a cloud identity, which is safe, secure, managed. And once we have the digital identity, using Office 365, we will enable free Exchange online email, free storage online, as well as a SharePoint online for collaboration. And of course, whatever has a star next to this in this particular diagram does have licensing implications. But everything else that doesn't have a star is actually available for you for free. The other thing is then we can introduce the concept of having different experiences on these foundational services. So what I've said till now is look at the device, integrate it into your existing LMS or SIS to get the user database. We'll create the digital identity. Once we have the digital identity, we enable all of these services. And once we enable these services, you can then start taking advantage of the cloud-ready Office applications, Teams applications, as you and I are now joining on a Teams call to record this meeting, as well as being able to communicate with each other, collaborate with each other using the Teams platform. It also enables things like class management, being able to do assignments, and being able to grade students and so on and so forth. There's a lot built into the Teams platform. Again, I won't go into the detail of that today. We have the Edge browser built right into the operating system with Windows 11 and 11 SE. So those days of having to download a browser from third party are gone, because now we're building Edge on the Chromium engine, which allows us to have compatibility with existing extensions for other browsers like Google Chrome. We've also created solutions that are specific for education that allows us to create class notebooks. This allows us to take content online as well as offline. We can synchronize the data and the course materials, worksheets, quizzes, and other things offline. The students can work on it, and then when they connect back, the content will be synchronized. I'll show you a quick demo of that as well later on. Then we have capabilities like whiteboard that are available within Teams as well as an independent application. But uniquely on Microsoft's platform, we have this very immersive game. Most of you may be familiar because I'm sure some child in your family or in your friend circle has been playing Minecraft, and it's a great way to engage students in a meaningful way. And by the way, we do have a education edition of Minecraft, which is a license that can be made available to our end customers. So again, wherever you see this star, you should start thinking about how we can monetize this platform and the device together so that we can give customer the value they need in enabling a hybrid teaching and learning environment. Of course, we will provide the teachers professional development that they need through our Microsoft Learn platform. So that is key to this whole, enabling our educators to know how to use these devices and the platform. And lastly, we do provide the insights and analytics that customers need. Remember, I said earlier, buying the device is like buying a fitness tracker. Unless we are able to see the insights that are generated using visualization tools like Power BI or through Teams Insights app, we don't really know how effective the use of this device is. So I really encourage you to see how this relates together, and there are many demos available already on that as well. So with that, I'm going to stop presenting here and then jump to a quick demo of how Windows 11 SE looks like and some of the capabilities that it brings to bear in this whole solution as well. Let me stop presenting. I'll present my screen and we will get to the demo. So here I have the login screen for 11 SE. You will actually see that it presents a very easy, very user-friendly login capability for the user. What we are able to see here is that we have streamlined 11 SE to make sure that it is user-friendly, but also enables a very easy way for the students to navigate the operating system. So the start menu has been redesigned. We've made it easy for you to find all of your education-specific applications. For example, Edge browser, Teams, Word, Excel, PowerPoint are already pre-built into Windows 11 SE. You no longer have to download and install the applications from the internet or using other deployment methods. So it has been streamlined to make sure that when you get the device, it's ready to go and is usable with all of the most requested applications for education. So it becomes very easy for you to start taking advantage of that. What I want to quickly demonstrate to you, however, in this particular demo is the accessibility capabilities of 11 SE. What you'll see here, for example, is that we have reimagined how settings are for all of Windows 11 and in Windows 11 SE. So it's easy for you to see the settings categories on the left, and you'll see detail items that are under each category on the right-hand side. So at no point are you lost within the actual settings menu. So in this particular demo, I'm just going to show you how we can modify things like color filters for people who need different colors on screen because they have color blindness or need the colors to be adjusted so that they can see it easily. So you'll see different ways of actually navigating Windows will change depending on their color preference, whether they need more of a red-green filter or red, blue-yellow filter or grayscale filter, depending on their requirements. So just giving you a bit of a view on how things are progressing in that regards. You'll also notice that we are able to then do things like also accommodate for hearing capabilities. Like some people need to have mono audio, or they may want to have flashing screens during audio notifications, and so on and so forth. So there are ways that we are accommodating with 11 SE the requirements for people with different learning requirements. The browser, for example, has also been reimagined. As I said before, this has been done with the Chromium browser engine behind this. So all the speed, the performance that customers have typically gone to a third-party browser like Google Chrome is no longer needed because all of the capabilities of the Chrome browser continue to evolve as the Chromium engine evolves. And we also support all the Chrome extensions within Microsoft Edge Chromium. What I want to demonstrate here as well is then we've got accessibility features like magnifier, because in some cases, we do need to provide the ability for you to magnify the actual content. Being able to go in and be able to look at, a run-up application, and the application I'm showing you right now is Microsoft Teams. So you'll see here, we've got the ability to kind of connect with people. We can have conversations with people. We can obviously run meetings online with Teams. So here's an example where we're going to run a meeting where we're going to join our class. We can obviously enable computer audio for this. We can choose how it's going to actually, which particular devices on your device is being used for the speaker and mic. Then we can enable our camera. We can enable settings like noise suppression, because in a lot of cases, when you're learning from home, there is a lot of background noise with construction happening or road noise or otherwise. And being able to suppress that is really handy. Then we have the ability to also join in, be able to obviously see each other and interact with each other visually, or be able to also look at things like follow along. So for people who are not able to follow along from an audio video perspective, can also turn on live captions. Or if you are somebody who's not able to follow along in English very effectively, they can use live captions to actually see what's been said. So using artificial intelligence, the cloud will actually transcribe what's going on. And then, of course, you're able to then, connect with each other, chat with each other. But we are also enabling things like, integration of apps. So we can create things like praises, where if you want to say, hey, look, you've done really well, Fatima, you're doing really well here, for all of your bravery or whatever, it gives a little bit of encouragement to our students. And this is another way of creating that interaction, creating that motivation for them to continue to engage with each other through this online platform. So this is an example of how Teams is actually evolving. Once you're done with the call, obviously you can leave, but there is a further conversations that can be had, because we can then look at work that is assigned to somebody. So for example, we do have the capability of providing assignments. We can see all of our assignments that have been given to us as a student. We can see the particular assignments by class. For example, we can see fluency check here. The work here is for you to actually read a piece of work. So they're going to have to read something. So this is a new capability that has been added into Teams called reading progress. So now the student is expected to read a piece of work. So in this case, they would have to read what all the words that are on this screen. They can adjust the size of all of this text using what is called the immersive reader. We can obviously adjust the colors, themes, the font, and other spacing and other requirements for different people with different reading and learning experiences. So just a quick demo of how the application and the operating system come together. So now we can say, hey, that once I've read something, I can use this as a recording, and I can turn that recording in as an assignment. So as soon as they've turned it in, they get a bit of encouragement for doing well. Now we'll actually see, for example, how the teacher will see this, or a maths example here. Here you're seeing the ability for multiple people to contribute and integrate and collaborate with each other on a platform, and also be able to comment and communicate with each other and say, hey, you know what, do you have any colored markers we can use for this? The answer is yes. We're going to say, okay, once we've done that, it's resolved the task. So there's a lot of communication that happens within the platform. And what you'll notice here is that Word has started within Teams, which means that they didn't have to leave Teams to get distracted by something else. And we have now also created the ability for you to create a team group assignments. So in the past, only individual assignments have been done. Now we are enabling group assignments as well. So We'll see another example here where what you'll also notice in 11SE, whenever application starts, it starts in full screen because we want to reduce the distraction for kids with multiple things on the screen. So one of the things that we've done is made sure that the application start up in full screen. But when necessary, we can actually do multitasking by having two applications side by side. So here in this case, I'm going to take PowerPoint and move it to the left-hand side, and then I can look at the content from the NASA website in this example by snapping the Edge browser on the other side. So this is something that has been often asked for by a lot of content creation experiences, because now we are going to refer something on the site here and then create content in the application on the left. You'll also notice that, of course, everything within this application will work as expected from a browser perspective. But we're also creating new experiences for you to go in and be able to, do additional research based on what's been. So, for example, if you highlight this text and we want to see this content to be read in a more effective way, because it may be difficult for some students to read this content when it's on the screen in the site. So we have created what is called a immersive reader within the browser itself. So when I do that, it takes away all the distraction and only lets the student focus on the content. So they can then use things like line focus to really focus in on the line by line. So they can either do it by one line, 3 lines, or multiple lines. We also include what is called a picture dictionary. So in this example, if I click on the word laboratory, you'll actually see what the meaning of the word laboratory is in a visual form. So the pictorial will actually help you understand the benefits of the actual words that are there on the screen. So these are just some examples of how we are bringing together the value of the operating system and the learning experiences that customers are expecting from us. What you'll also notice is that we are actually now offline in this particular demo. So remember what I said earlier, we are cloud ready, but not cloud dependent. So they can continue working on this file regardless of whether they have internet or not. Once they're done and once they're back online, you'll notice it's gone online and we've got the Wi-Fi signal. You'll also notice, and let me get rid of this Teams. Yeah, you'll see that when it's actually connected back on the internet, we have also saved the changes to this document. So any additions we've made to this document will be reflected in the document as well. Let's go back to Teams. We can now, because the group has collaborated on this particular document, they can now turn it in for the group. And that's been done. Let's have a quick other example of Minecraft, because a lot of times when we talk about installing Windows 11 SE, it is done on a low-end device, typically with 464. But what you'll also notice is that it enables immersive experiences like Minecraft Education Edition in a very fluid manner. So we'll go in and open up a particular, and what you'll notice is Minecraft Education Edition has different challenges and curriculum built right into it. So you can use it for science, maths, computer science, equity, inclusion, history, social emotional learning, and so on and so forth. In this example, let's go into social emotional learning, the mindful night. It will create the world. And even on a low-end device, you will actually see a very fluid experience on this particular 3D game, which is Minecraft Education Edition. The other example I want to also highlight with 11SE is the built-in security that's been made available, right? A lot of times we get into this situation where we need to visit sites and we don't know whether those sites are actually trustworthy or not. We do have a Defender smart screen that enables you to look at the content of the site before the user goes to that site. So in this case, we are saying Microsoft recommends you do not continue with this site. It has been reported to Microsoft containing phishing threats which may try to steal personal or financial information. And if they choose to ignore it, they can, but we strongly recommend that they don't, because it's also giving a lot of warnings on the particular page as well. And you'll notice that all of this security is built right in. So gone are the days where you had to buy third-party security and capabilities that enable you to make sure that the device was secure. it is now built right into it with Windows security. The other thing, let's have a quick look at the Reflect app. One of the other aspects of what's happened during the pandemic is we haven't been able to follow along the social emotional learning needs of students. So what we've now done is we've built in this app called Reflect. Reflect really starts to think about, how they felt about the last assignment, whether they were happy or not really feeling good about it or upset about it. So they're able to see that, and they can also, express themselves a little bit more in detail. I mean, how did this assignment make you feel? In this case, if you felt energized, then they'd get rewarded with a little bit of a fun character, which is the emotion monster that really showcases how they're doing this. But not while it seems like a fun experience for the students, it also gives our educators insight into how students are learning on a day-to-day basis. And over time, we can see trends in the class. And what we've noticed is a lot of the students who have access to this kind of tool really are opening up because they feel comfortable having to open up to a solution like this, where it's done in a fun way rather than having a serious conversation with an adult or an educator or with their parents. So this seems to get a lot more acceptance with our students as well. So with that, I just want to conclude to say thank you for joining us today in this session to really give you a bit of an overview of what we are doing here with Windows 11, Windows 11 SE. And like I said to you before, it is a new Windows that has been built for the new era of digital classrooms to broaden access to tech, maximize budgets, because we know that is a big stretch for many customers, given the pandemic means there is a lot more demand on investment in the digital realm. We want to make sure that, the learning happens no matter the location. I showed you a very quick demo of being cloud ready, but not cloud dependent. We're making sure that the technology doesn't come in the way of your deployment and management and security. So as much as possible with Windows 11 SE and Windows 11 Pro, we are making that journey a lot better, a lot simpler and easier for our end user. Thank you very much, VARINDIA, for inviting me to kind of spend this time with our community and really give you a bit of an overview on what's going on in the world of Windows 11 as it comes to the concept of hybrid teaching and learning.
I would like to thank all the panelists for sharing their valuable insights. Now it's time for the Q&A session.